Hey everyone, this is Matt Lawton with Astrological Winds channel, and we are going to look at the full moon in Virgo today on March 9th, opposite the sun, of course, conjunct Neptune, so opposite Neptune too, and we'll also look at the week ahead's astrology, mainly today too, with Mercury going direct. So the moon, full moon in Virgo at about 20 degrees Virgo is opposite the sun, of course. That's what a full moon is. And the sun on its annual conjunction to Neptune exact yesterday in Pisces. And the one other aspect this full moon is making is a trine to Jupiter as far as a tighter aspect. So full moons like two signs that are opposite one another, so together they form a whole, or they have keys to understanding for one another, and they are at an opposition, so they need to look across this gap of division and try to find some common ground where both their needs are getting met or addressed. So the moon part in Virgo is our emotional needs, and in Virgo it's to get things right. We have an emotional need to get things right, to get things in order, to get things the way we feel like we need them to be. And what's driving that is the instinct to survive, actually. The instinct to make sure that we do the things that are necessary for us to survive. So Virgo is therefore very interested in knowing what the details are, what the plan is, how are we going to get this thing done. It does not feel secure without that knowledge, and will actually feel like its very life is at stake or threatened if it doesn't know what the details and the plan is. And that's why Virgo energy can get very critical and judgmental from an outside standpoint, because it's interested in knowing how we're going to get there. So opposite the sun and Neptune in Pisces. So Neptune has a lot in common with Pisces. In modern rulership, it's given the rulership of Pisces. I feel like it's more of a co-ruler myself, or has a strong affinity to Piscean energy. So there's a double Piscean energy being picked up here. Not only is it the sun, but it's Neptune, and Neptune is strong in Pisces. And to top all of that off, most of our Mercury retrograde period was also in Pisces. So the moon in Virgo is up against this Piscean energy, which is driven by idealism and a kind of much bigger picture than Virgo and its practical details. So that's where the opposition comes up. And what we can see, especially with Neptune there, is how a lot of our ideas are like crashing on the shores of practical reality. And that can be really discouraging. It can be like really like, wow, overwhelming as to how much needs to be done in order to reach this higher Piscean ideal or vision. So right now, the subconscious emotional side of us is definitely under a lot of stress, because it's feeling like There's a lot of things going on around us that are very confusing and therefore disillusioning, discouraging. And we're like feeling like sure about what our ideals are and what our bigger picture is. And that can get us a lot of inspiration, imagination, but it also like has the Virgo emotional side like feeling really naggy about like how are we going to get there? Like, you know, it's a great vision, but you don't have any plan. So how are we going to get to the end of the rainbow where Pisces wants to be? How are we going to find that pot of gold if we don't have a plan? And so that's a lot about what this full moon is about. And to top all that off, you know, the full moon is ruled by Mercury because Virgo is one of the signs that Mercury rules. And of course, we know Mercury is not in the best position right now. It's actually stationing direct today on the day of the full moon. So that's when like that retrograde energy that it can have can really reach a high apex. And I think since it went back into Aquarius a few days ago, people have like entrenched their positions even more so about what their ideal is and have like dug themselves in to a spot where they feel like they can't move from that spot. They can't negotiate from that spot. And yet like the Virgo moon is still like, hey, how are we going to do this? How are we going to like figure this out? So I think a lot of us are going to have to deal with like a lot of insecurities and unclear visions about how to reach our higher ideals during this full moon period. Now there is the trine to Jupiter. Jupiter's in Capricorn where it's normally weak, but it is in another earth sign. So like the moon in Virgo is in an earth sign. So maybe some practicality can come in. Maybe we can have a good attitude and adjust our attitude about how we're going to approach things and keep it in a positive manner. But even the Jupiter in Capricorn is saying the same thing. Like, you know, Jupiter is part of that bigger vision, but in Capricorn, it's like, yeah, we definitely like need to get to work on this. We need to set up some kind of structure or form or plan on how we're going to reach where we want to go ultimately. So there's a lot of that energy going on, and it, you know, and it cannot, it's not necessarily easy, you know, it's really, it's difficult to bridge the gaps between us and others when we have an opposition. The good thing about it is like it allows us to see parts of ourselves in our relationships with others. Like we can get like these reflections of ourselves and see certain weaknesses in how our approach is to get to our vision, or weaknesses in the sense that we might not have the practical things we need to reach that vision right now. So I think there's a lot of this we're going to be like going through in the next, you know, 2 to 4 weeks, is like during this full moon cycle of like having to contemplate and meditate on a lot of the places where people are maybe being judgmental or critical of the way we approach things, and maybe trying to find out where there's these kernels of wisdom in there that we can use for ourselves to, like, start to see how we're falling short in the way we plan things to try to get to our vision, and also like how we fall short in trying like to bridge the gaps between us and others by not like fully getting into the details of things, and like where it can create kinds of misunderstandings and things like that. So maybe with seeing those things, it will give us like a foothold or a handhold to build from. And that will be the first step that we have to take in order to get where we want to go. And I think, like I said, the Jupiter can help us do that with our attitude. It can keep us more optimistic and benevolent and generous and giving, and help us to reach that point. But I said, right now, Mercury too, it's going to go back into Pisces, stay in kind of like this shadow period of a lot of that Piscean energy of the last few weeks. So I don't think there's going to be really a clear answer for most of us for the next 2 to 4 weeks still, besides seeing what the next baby step or just step is in order to get to the next place we want to go. So I think that's really, where we're going to want to focus on that, and just kind of bring that back in. So we are going to get a little other help. Monday's definitely a stressful day in the sense of this full moon, Mercury going direct, etc. And I think we're seeing a lot of stress in the world too right now. The coronavirus, stock market's crashing, United States elections, and the whole democratic process seems to be like right now under stress, and maybe like outside influences have actually affected the United States so much that we're not aware. Maybe we're starting to see some of those things now. But a lot of other crises going on in the world too, Syria and other places like that again too. So we're seeing a lot of the continuing of the breaking down of the Piscean illusion or delusion that a lot of us hold as this, like, our realities, that they're not really aligned with what's really going on. And that's what that moon in Virgo is really saying too. It's like details are not being taken care of. So it's not just on a personal level, but you can see how that energy is working in the world too. I don't know, like I said about the economy way back at the beginning of the year, Jupiter in Capricorn, I just didn't feel like, the economy was going to keep chugging along well. So the stock market thing is a lot of psychology and stuff involved too, of course, and tied into like health issues, which is all about Virgo too. So this full moon in Virgo is really showing like how we're all tied together with this health issue and how it can affect everybody's work and everybody's goals and things. So you can really see a lot of how astrological energy works in the macro level too, not only in our personal level. But for the rest of the week, actually, things kind of lighten up. What's really nice is we remember you have the lineup in Capricorn of, we actually have Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn and Pluto. So the sun is going to sextile Jupiter on Wednesday. So that usually brings in like, some good opportunities that can expand our world in some way and actually appeal to our philosophies, morals, value system. So Wednesday starts this like kind of easing off. And then when we get to the weekend, the sun will get to its exact sextile with Pluto on Saturday, and that's the same day Mars in Capricorn also is sextiling Neptune. So I think those two energies on the weekend, this weekend, can work really, really well together. Like, the Mars Neptune can like make you like really sensitive to like other people's needs and your environment and surroundings, but not in a way where it's like overwhelming and shuts you down. It's more like, I want to be part of something that's bigger than myself, that's like helping things and helping other people, and really appeals to our like higher ideals and wanting to take action on them. And then the sun sextile Pluto is like, yeah, like this, is the type of thing that can help transform me too, because I'm part of something bigger and I'm trying to do something positive with this. So like this weekend coming up is like just a great weekend to like, if you can like connect with like some group and do some like really kind of like evolutionary work for yourself within the context of that group. It could be really, really rewarding experience, very transformative, and even grounding, so because a lot of that Capricorn energy, so anyway, little bit of a tough start to the week, and of course we're in the middle of very tough times, and that's not going to change this year. But like, as the week goes on, there's a lot of opportunity for growth and expansion and transformation. But one of the things we might want to ask ourselves too is, what is the definition of those things for us personally? And is it something that we've just adopted from society, or is there something that's like more important that falls into those categories for us, that maybe isn't just something that's materially measured? So really some good stuff to like consider. And like Mars Neptune's like, yeah, let's like, make this work for everybody. And some Pluto's like, yeah, like how much can I like transform things around me, get my goals into something that's for the greater good, and like allow that to change my world creatively. All right. Until next week or some other time. Prior to that, if I have some other things I'd like to bring up, which I know I do, and just don't have the chance sometimes to get to all the different astrological things going on, but try to make up for some of that. Anyway, Matt Lawton, Astrological Winds channel. My email is matthue823@gmail.com. So that's MATTHUE823@gmail.com. I'm available for all kinds of astrological services. Would love to help you out. Thank you so much, and until next time, peace.